Inside Nine World's final dungeon, the nearly defeated Primal Purgatory Fiend taunts the battered raid team, but level 99 Susumu Hoda remains standing after their brutal 30-second attempt leaves everyone else down. And despite facing an SSS rank nightmare, he knows exactly what this final boss can do, so he vows to claim level 100 and become the strongest player alive, since defeating this monster should finally unlock the ultimate awakening he has chased for years, giving him enough power to change his destiny and rebuild the fallen Hoda family. And our guy channels everything into one blazing strike that catches the roaring fiend head-on, declaring himself the ultimate player before swinging his weapon through the boss's defenses. As his shimmering mirage, Annihilation Slash erupts across the battlefield in one massive golden arc, and the system confirms the Primal Purgatory Fiend's defeat while calculating the long-awaited rewards. Exhausted beyond his limits, Susumu collapses in relief, certain the ultimate awakening now belongs to him, while the supposedly fallen raiders remain scattered across the ruined arena behind him, until the white-haired teammate congratulates the ultimate warrior with a smile that screams trouble, making the wounded player realize Akira was never dead, only waiting for the perfect opening. And Akira calmly tells him that noticing the betrayal now changes absolutely nothing, because purple energy begins pulling every raid reward, and the fallen party members, straight toward the traitor, leaving the stunned survivor trapped inside the violent surge as his victory gets hijacked. Yet he still demands to know why a teammate would pull such a filthy move, only for Akira to sneer at the very idea that they were ever equals, mocking the rock-bottom Hoda family and ordering Susumu to abandon his dream of rebuilding it, while his status exposes the setup. Akira Hodani is a healthy level 99 Dark Archbishop, whereas Susumu is barely alive, though he still refuses to let the traitor have everything, swearing that even death will not stop him from returning and making Akira regret this. But the smug backstabber reveals hired assassins are already wiping out the Hoda family at home, and that final blow hits far harder than any attack from the dungeon boss, before a forced logout abruptly severs his connection to the game, snapping his awareness back to reality at the worst possible moment, where an armed assassin confirms Susumu Hoda's identity and announces that his life is forfeit, pressing a gun against the helpless player's head before he can recover. As Susumu spots his mother lying dead nearby and cries out in horror, then grabs the weapon, demanding whether Akira Hodani hired this killer just like before, only for the assassin to overpower and shoot him while Susumu questions Akira's betrayal, leaving him to realize his trusted teammate had apparently been bought off long ago, and mourn the future where he could have restored the Hoda family to glory, remembering his grandfather's warning never to tarnish their prestigious four-generation name, or fall into another setup, especially one orchestrated by the Ryuzaki family, whom he would crush if given another chance, when that impossible second chance drops him into a noisy high school classroom mid-outburst. And the disoriented warrior stares around, realizing this is a classroom from his past, even though his last clear memory says he should already be dead, before Saburo Suzuki reappears, demanding an allowance from the supposedly ruined Hoda brat, reminding Susumu how his weakened family once became an easy target for practically everyone, while the furious bully mistakes his silence for fear and swings at him, only for the reborn fighter to catch Saburo's wrist without even leaving his desk, then return one clean punch that launches the extortionist across the classroom, proving his younger body somehow remembers every movement mastered as a Nine Worlds warrior. And although the ultimate awakening was stolen, his physical abilities have changed beyond recognition, meaning years of grinding were not wasted. He returned with far more than future knowledge, which matters because Nine Worlds is no ordinary game. Its power directly reshapes reality, showering players with wealth and status while promising an ultimate awakening at level 100, where mastered skills cross into the real world and awakeners gain power beyond common sense, turning one game into the ultimate shortcut toward absolute strength, influence, and ridiculous fortune, which drove countless players to sacrifice everything for even a chance at changing destiny. But Susumu has received the rarest reset imaginable, and wonders whether Grandpa somehow protected him before his homeroom teacher storms in, accuses him of bullying, and drags the injured Saburo away, then orders the supposed troublemaker to report straight to the faculty office, where the teacher scolds him for disrupting class and acting like some privileged young master, sarcastically asking whether he still believes the Hoda name carries any prestige. Yet the veteran player realizes this teacher deliberately ignored Saburo's extortion until Susumu fought back, confirming another authority figure had already been bought by the Ryuzaki family, once the Hodas' rival great clan, whose opposing ideology kept both families locked at each other's throats, until every high-ranking Hoda official died in one plane crash, sending the entire clan into ruin, and the Ryuzakis immediately seized their territory and assets, crushing whoever remained under legal cover, while hired lackeys like this teacher delighted in telling the former heir to obey everyone else. But Susumu fires back, calling the corrupt adult nothing more than a ruined loser, then grabs his collar and declares that the Hoda family has never been defeated, ignoring the panic threat to summon security as the balance of power flips hard, because exposing Ryuzaki bribes would cost this crooked teacher his license. So he had better stop laughing. And with today's Nine Worlds launch approaching, the reborn player drops him and heads out. Knowing the game remains his best route to rebuilding the family, he rushes home to log in, planning to exploit a lifetime of memories while keeping his real identity completely hidden, reach the ultimate awakening before everyone else, and prevent the future murder of his mother. So he arrives at the modest Hoda residence determined to conceal every dangerous advantage while making one promise above all. This time, no one will touch Mom, and opening the door brings him face to face with her warm welcome from the kitchen, followed by the simple invitation to sit down because dinner is already waiting, leaving the returned son unusually quiet as the future he lost suddenly feels real again, which makes his concerned mother wonder whether he feels sick or troubled. And she gently offers help before teasing that perhaps a girl has finally caught his attention, but he quietly renews his vow to keep her safe while her lively son makes her smile, then remembers Nine Worlds launches at 7 tonight, giving him little time to prepare. Although his savings only bought an old clunky headset, the device still supports Nine Worlds, so he straps on his longtime partner and reconnects with the world that defined him, entering the game the instant its servers officially open to millions of new players, where the first prompt asks whether he wants to choose a standard starting class, but future knowledge says selecting no immediately unlocks a hidden trial with far greater potential, since normal classes peak at S rank while hidden paths can climb all the way to SSS. And after already reincarnating once, Susumu happily rejects the safe route, triggering endless battle of purgatory, determined to reverse his destiny instead of repeating an ordinary S-rank warrior build, because this run aims much higher. An SSS-rank god of war from the beginning, as the hidden trial transports him into a scorched, monster-filled wasteland, where the system welcomes the nearly unequipped newcomer to purgatory with absolutely zero mercy, then offers several starting weapons, and he immediately reaches for a sword, knowing this single choice will determine which hidden class waits at the trial's end. Yet a future god of war needs a blade, so every other option gets ignored, and the selected weapon materializes in his grip as the route toward the top, with the system generating a custom sword precisely tailored to his combat history. The Heat Haze crested sword, matching the Heat Haze warrior awakening from his previous life. Only now he plans to use this familiar weapon to tear through the very first trial, as Purgatory officially begins at 0% and surrounds him with a glitching army, before infinite waves of red-eyed monsters charge across the burning ground toward their lone target. A horde furious enough to bury any normal beginner under sheer numbers. But the veteran only grins at their rage, almost feeling sorry for what comes next, because years of fighting monsters turn his borrowed blade into a rapid execution machine, and the massacre pushes progress to 1%, fueling his plan to slaughter every last enemy. While inside Nine Worlds R&D Center, researchers detect someone attempting a hidden trial immediately after launch, prompting the stern director to demand this impossible newcomer's identity and coordinates, as the team hammers through tracking systems for any trace of the rogue player, only to discover his outdated legacy headset makes both identity and location completely untraceable, which infuriates their boss, who refuses to let some nobody upstage the game's creators. So every R&D elite receives orders to log in and clear that same hidden trial, with failure forbidden because these corporate players supposedly represent the absolute top tier. Although the director privately knows creating Nine Worlds never granted humanity control over it, since this living reality, and whether its apocalypse prophecy can be stopped, now governs Earth's future, making the anonymous challenger crucial, even as the director activates 100% pain feedback for everyone entering, a brutal setting capable of frying real brains if neural shock crosses the safety threshold. Yet Susumu keeps carving through attackers, battered but still inviting the monsters to hit harder. Because compared with the SSS-rank bosses of his previous life, this mob feels embarrassingly weak, and another sweeping strike sends bodies flying while trial progress surges to 63%, which he dismisses as nowhere near enough, demanding that the endless waves keep coming before charging again and declaring these monsters witnesses to the ultimate God of War's birth. While an R&D elite rips off his headset screaming that the simulated fire is killing him, and failures erupt across the laboratory as candidates flee bites, burns, and fully realistic agony, leaving most unable to reach 20%, although researchers cannot lower the monster difficulty, because Nine Worlds locked its source code after launch and now evolves entirely on its own, forcing the creators to accept this brutal natural selection and hope one elite survives. Yet the dropout rate reaches 95.6%, leaving only 23 of 500 players, one more than the math allows, which means their untraceable outsider is still inside, and a quick check reveals the anonymous warrior has pushed his trial far beyond everyone else, reaching an absurd 99.9% while the entire control room stares in disbelief, as the director wonders what kind of monster exploit could produce numbers this ridiculous, unaware that Susumu has simply slaughtered every wave until only one enemy remains. And the exhausted warrior actually smiles when the challenge finally becomes interesting, casually asking whether the arriving figure is Purgatory's real boss, only to meet an exact copy of himself wielding a matching sword wrapped in green flame, with glowing red eyes that promise the trial saved its nastiest trick for last. As the copycat lunges first and swings its blazing weapon with all his own speed, But our guy prepares one decisive counter, determined to finish this mirror match immediately, before orange and green blades collide in an explosive burst of force, pitting identical bodies and techniques against each other while only one mind holds a lifetime's experience. And Susumu drives through the clash, forcing the copycat backward with his massive blade, mocking the imitation while pushing past exhaustion for one final finishing move, until the counterfeit body fractures into digital shards beneath the original's superior technique, clearing purgatory completely and prompting the system to generate a unique exclusive hidden class. As waves of blue light rebuild the victorious player's battered avatar and calculate his reward, the S-rank Ultimate Swordsman, carrying Blade's devotion and the exclusive King's Arsenal skill, whose passive doubles every sword's base stats, already crushing his former Awakening's 80% mastery, meaning this starting ability completely eclipses what once required a second Awakening, while King's Arsenal can store 9 Divine Swords, each granting another 50% boost to every stat, making the class less of a strong build and more of a legendary tier cheat code, especially because collecting 3, 6, and 9 blades automatically triggers separate epic advancement quests, creating a path beyond 9 worlds' supposed 2-tier limit into an unprecedented third evolution, and Susumu immediately recognizes the chance to unlock a form no player has ever reached, declaring himself the ultimate swordsman as the Hoda clan's revival officially begins, with his first target hidden inside an obscure quest located in the starting village, where Pandora, a beautiful but psychotic S-rank boss, guards a unique dark attribute divine sword. And although the gamble is deadly, a second life has convinced him to play aggressively. So the system transfers him from Purgatory into 9 Worlds' peaceful beginner region, where familiar sunlight and trees make the veteran savor returning to this virtual reality, and he spreads his arms, loudly welcoming himself back to the world he once mastered, specifically Domo Village, a remote border settlement inside the Flame Radiance Kingdom. With Domo Village awakening old memories, Susumu begins hunting the NPC needed for his next move, while masking his conspicuous hidden class and abilities behind an ordinary beginner profile, so other players see only a basic warrior with no usable skills instead of ultimate swordsman, because this free world rewards discretion, and flashy power would attract trouble before his plan even starts. First comes the Secret of Pandora, the hidden stage containing that S-rank Dark Divine Sword, but triggering it requires level 5, meaning he needs beginner gear and techniques from one specific instructor, whose crossed sword sign still hangs above the same familiar training hall, confirming he has found the home of Domo Village's novice swordsman instructor, a place that cost enormous effort to locate during his first playthrough, though future knowledge now lets him walk straight inside without wasting another minute, where Instructor Owen asks whether this new warrior has come to learn basic skills. And Susumu skips the small talk, requesting a quest from the muscular NPC, expecting an easy delivery job that his memorized village map could finish almost instantly, with Owen promising both a weapon and skill once the assignment is successfully completed, only for the veteran instructor to reveal a very different kind of beginner test. Survive 30 seconds under Owen's direct attacks without getting flattened, and anyone unwilling to accept that beating can turn around and leave immediately. A nasty demand, because lasting half a minute against this supposed novice instructor is genuinely brutal, especially since Owen is secretly a vital Flame Radiance general haunted by killing his enemy-born best friend, a regret so crushing that he abandoned the battlefield and withdrew beside the fallen warrior's grave. Owen is roughly level 70, making this beginner quest wildly harsher than its innocent label suggests. Yet the burly instructor mistakes Susumu's calculation for fear and openly taunts him, inviting the newcomer to run, only to hear a confident laugh in response. Because 30 seconds sounds easy to someone eager to compare this body with his former strength, and winning such an abnormal test might produce rewards his previous life never uncovered. Owen agrees to restrain himself, promising to attack only with the power of level 10, before launching forward with startling speed and demanding everything the supposed beginner can muster. Susumu charges into the swing instead of retreating, meeting the veteran's blade head-on, but their first collision proves his present body cannot comfortably absorb even this restricted force. As steel grinds inches from his focused eyes and sparks burst between their crossed weapons, Owen praises the successful block, mildly impressed that a novice stopped his opening strike, then immediately promises many more attacks, whipping another heavy arc toward his opponent. Susumu slips beneath the sweeping blade, letting Owen's momentum smash the floor instead, and the instructor grins after recognizing just how quick this unusual newcomer truly is, before another luminous slash crashes into Susumu's raised sword and drives him backward, followed by a relentless storm of blue-edged swings that leaves almost nowhere to escape, while Susumu realizes his rusty iron blade cannot possibly block every strike without breaking, forcing him to twist through another powerful collision as Owen keeps pressing the advantage. Though behind the crossed blades, his calm gaze finally catches the narrow chance he needs, and he flips through an opening in Owen's attack, beginning a daring counter from above. Knowing this battlefield greatsword technique leaves the user's back exposed and delays immediate recovery, yet Owen recognizes that his style has been deciphered and doubts mere knowledge can secure victory, just as Susumu swings downward, aiming to punish the vulnerable recovery with decisive timing, only to discover the veteran can instantly stabilize that awkward posture and launch a counterattack, whose sudden blade arrives from the side before the airborne challenger can safely retreat, forcing Susumu to block a serious battlefield technique at dangerously close range with raw steel, as Owen's concentrated blue strike hurls him across the hall and shatters the distant wall. But the system declares the 30-second battle concluded before another blow can follow, leaving Susumu frustrated by that final exchange yet firmly promising himself victory next time, while Owen extends a hand and confirms the survival challenge officially belongs to him, praising the battered newcomer's ability to endure the entire brutal 30 seconds successfully, then hauling him upright with the respectful grip of one fighter recognizing another. As Susumu grins and vows their next encounter will demonstrate an outright win, Owen welcomes that rematch and produces the promised skill scroll as the standard reward, plus an E+ rank iron sword granted personally as a special bonus for his performance, which Susumu accepts with cheerful thanks, discarding the battered practice weapon behind him, and with sturdy steel finally equipped, he prepares to enter the beginner hunting area, while Owen watches him leave, privately acknowledging how impressive this strange newcomer truly is. Because the instructor secretly broke his restriction and unleashed level 20 power during that counter, making the bonus sword an apology, although Susumu absorbing that blow remains genuinely remarkable. Outside the hall, Susumu finally inspects the unusually valuable scroll earned from that savage trial, discovering A-rank Zilla's Flame, which sacrifices health to coat weapons, boost damage 30% and add fire, far surpassing the normal E-rank Flame aura and proving Owen's difficult challenge completely worthwhile. So after learning it, he rushes toward the beginner zone's hardest wilderness lair to reach level 5, where newly arrived players are already panicking as unexpectedly vicious wild monsters overwhelm their crude defenses. Even aggressive squirrels leap onto faces and turn basic hunting into humiliating chaos, while furious rabbits chase terrified swordsmen who never imagined harmless prey could bite back. Because 9 Worlds just launched, leaving everyone unfamiliar with these creatures' dangerous behavior, though Susumu knows skilled players will discover efficient strategies within only a few days, and ignores a stranger advising him to farm small monsters safely outside the forest, politely explaining that his chosen prey is something much larger before walking into the trees, namely fireboars, the region's strongest monsters, alongside a level 5 subclass boss hidden deeper inside, whose concentrated experience should let him level rapidly and stay ahead of every skilled pursuer, until his remembered route brings him directly to the correct clearing deep within Domo's forest, where territorial fireboars are guaranteed to attack anyone brazen enough to enter openly. And one massive red beast immediately charges from behind, exactly as he expected, identified by the system as an adult level 3 fireboar despite its intimidating size. Susumu turns calmly, knowing strong defenses mean nothing when their specific weak point is exposed, since striking soft tissue remains the golden rule for defeating monsters above one's level, and one sweeping blue slash drops the fireboar, granting increased experience for the under-leveled kill, instantly filling 52% of his first level bar from that single higher level monster. Since defeating enemies above one's own level provides an enormous bonus to experience, meaning just one more successful kill should already carry him beyond level 1, and 3 adult fireboars conveniently burst from the trees before he must search farther, making the smiling hunter welcome their arrival while tightening both hands around his new blade. Then he activates Zilla's Flame, surrounding the iron sword with swirling blue and violet fire, which grants the weapon 30% more damage alongside a powerful fire element enhancement, as the first enraged boar lowers its tusks and thunders directly toward him, only for Susumu to answer with a blazing horizontal slash and invite everything it has, driving the enchanted edge cleanly across the charging monster's vulnerable face with devastating force, before he launches through the remaining pack, carrying the brilliant flames between multiple targets. And another level 3 fireboar collapses while the system awards increased experience once again, pushing him rapidly to level 3 and creating a far smoother beginning than his previous life. Yet 2 more furious adults race forward before he can even enjoy the progress, so Susumu meets their charge eagerly, determined to convert every beast into experience. And after a relentless massacre, the clearing becomes carpeted with vanishing fireboar corpses, leaving every adult in the entire lair defeated and only their monstrous king remaining, who emerges enraged as a level 5E+ sub-boss, towering over its fallen herd, while Susumu greets the familiar monster like an old opponent unseen for many years, remembering how badly this same Fireboar King troubled him during their first encounter, a notorious beginner obstacle whose enraged charge can crush inexperienced parties before they react, because its attack, defense, and health are tremendous enough for even grazing hits to hurt, making a direct confrontation exactly what sensible under-leveled fighters should avoid at all costs. But Susumu smiles because remembered knowledge reveals a much safer path through its defenses, and angles his flaming sword toward the beast while slipping beside its charging tusks, tempting the roaring king to open its jaws and expose the tender flesh within, since the monster's hidden weak point lies inside its mouth, beyond that armored hide. Then one perfectly timed blazing stroke cuts through the lunging silhouette before it can close, defeating the level 5 king for bonus experience and instantly raising Susumu to level 5, which finally satisfies the required threshold for challenging the hidden secret of Pandora stage. Though two glittering reward spheres unexpectedly rise from the fallen sub-boss before he leaves, so he reaches down and collects both mysterious glowing drops for immediate inspection. Curious what this unusually generous kill has produced during his improved second beginning, first revealing an E-rank ring of Flamefang capable of storing 5 different items, followed by E+ Flamefang armor granting 15 defense, 15 magic resistance, and 3% fire resistance, two highly practical early-game treasures that make this lucky detour even more rewarding, and he immediately tests the ring, filling 2 of its 5 inventory slots with gear, before remembering the upcoming quest also needs the Fireboar King's rib as material, prompting him to carve carefully through the huge carcass beside a rough stone until one clean white rib comes free. Completing his preparations for the next objective, he stores the rib in his ring's 3rd slot and turns toward Pandora's hidden quest, although one additional item must be secured before he can confidently trigger it, because possessing that particular rare gift should guarantee the crucial quest giver's cooperation. Back in Domo, he approaches Priestess Els, the village instructor for newly arrived mages, whose main storyline contains Pandora's one-time hidden subquest permanently disappearing once someone completes it. Aware another player could claim that opportunity first, Susumu hurriedly knocks on her door, then barges inside while the purple-haired priestess is quietly cleaning her wooden staff, prompting Els to notice he is no apprentice mage and coolly demand his purpose, while Susumu recalls that accessing Pandora's secret requires raising her affection to level 7. But his rude entrance immediately annoys her and drops that rating to -2, a terrible starting point that does not worry him because future knowledge provides leverage, since Els participates in a troublesome multi-bar line whose completion greatly increases her favorability, and activating its first step requires the purple datura he deliberately collected beforehand. So he presents the rare flower and courteously offers assistance with whatever currently troubles her, leaving Els visibly startled when she recognizes a genuine purple datura in his hands, an important Domo main quest symbol, representing the hostile organization secretly operating throughout the village, whose ranks include Els herself, a twist Susumu already understands from his previous life, meaning the flower convincingly signals that this informed stranger stands on her side, so she asks him to stop a flame warhorse that escaped the Magic Academy's control, activating the E-rank control the Flame Battlesteed quest, which Susumu confidently accepts. He immediately leaves Els's house and heads across Domo toward the village warhorse ranch, certain the escaped Flame Battlesteed will behave exactly as his memories predict, because several players must cooperate to tame it, while only the eventual winner earns the mount, and Susumu intends to claim that flaming steed while advancing Domo's main storyline for Els. Soon the crowded warhorse ranch comes into view, with the blazing target confined beyond its fences, awakening another powerful wave of nostalgia as he approaches this familiar early-game challenge, until the system locks onto the rampaging flame warhorse stomping furiously inside the enclosure, a creature that battered him terribly during the same quest in his first life, before Susumu locates Jim, Domo's warhorse breeder and the NPC administering this competition. Knowing success here will finally unlock the hidden secret of Pandora's labyrinth quest, Jim warmly welcomes him as the final hero sent to tame the flaming warhorse, and Susumu calmly confirms that he came specifically at Priestess Els' urgent request, bringing the participant count to 8 and allowing the multiplayer challenge to begin. Among them stand level 5 Room, Darth, and Death, all famous players in the previous timeline, proving talented veterans from that future have already begun gathering around the valuable mount, alongside level 5 Rogue Shadow and Beast Tamer Mario, accompanied by his small monkey, plus Archer Rome and Priest Mu, completing an intimidating roster of former elites, who reached Susumu's level while he spent precious hours clearing the hidden class trial. Yet he dismisses every potential teammate, announcing that nobody else is necessary now, drawing immediate ridicule because his plain ID and hidden abilities make that confidence look absurd. Which makes sense, since none of these competitors realizes their mysterious solo rival already leads them, while the intentionally anonymous ID Mob King conceals both his true name and dangerous hidden class. Jim announces that all 8 candidates are present and orders everyone into the ranch, officially initiating Subdue the Flaming Warhorse as a large crowd gathers around 8 level 5 players. 7 competitors organize into balanced parties, leaving only Mob King standing completely alone, and watching spectators confidently declare that entering solo guarantees his immediate humiliating defeat, until Guard Captain Forbes turns their predictions into entertainment by opening a public betting pool, summoning a glowing interface that lets everyone wager directly on their expected winner, with favorable odds assigned to each established team while Mob King's solo entry pays triple. And Forbes warns every wager is final. Starting from only 1 copper coin, most observers strongly favor Rumi's balanced party of 1 tank and 2 capable attackers, sending copper toward every team until someone suddenly stakes 50 coins on Mob King, provoking disbelief from spectators convinced backing a lone unknown player simply burns money, until until Susumu reveals he placed the entire bold wager on his own victory, making nearby players call him insane for risking 50 copper without a team. But he casually answers that the coming fight will reveal the actual result, and Forbes gleefully accepts the heavy coin pouch, locking Mob King's enormous bet, while Darth predicts the arrogant loner will soon discover a painfully harsh truth, and Mario jokes that even his little monkey possesses better judgment than Mob King. As Rome and Mu dismiss him as just another cocky stranger found everywhere, Susumu stops answering their mockery and calmly warns that the real challenge is arriving. Just before the flame warhorse explodes forward, its burning hooves pounding the arena floor, Room's party executes a coordinated opening, with Darth drawing aggression while his partners target an eye, delighting spectators who believe such perfect synchronization could instantly kill any flaming warhorse. But Susumu notes that their combined strike might only defeat an ordinary specimen, and this abnormal mount violently tears through the formation before their attack can land, scattering all three celebrated level 5 players through the air like helpless training dummies. Then the system drops their health to 0, eliminating Room, Darth, and Death together, because level 5 bodies cannot withstand this monster, whose loss of control has a special cause. Next, Shadow orders Mario to support his planned approach with powerful beast-taming skills, and the Tamer casts Subdue, surrounding himself and the warhorse with restraining purple magic, briefly freezing the huge flaming mount in place while Shadow prepares his move. Believing immobilization should come first, the agile rogue races forward to mount it, and successfully vaults onto the warhorse's broad back before the magical binding visibly breaks, confident that attacking this dangerous creature head-on would be something only a complete fool attempts, while Susumu recognizes their smart combination of taming control and rogue agility, yet sees its fatal flaw, as the warhorse rears violently and knocks Shadow away before he can settle. Then its blazing hindquarters smash him with enough force to end the attempt, reducing Shadow's health completely to 0 while Mario looks on in horrified disbelief. Moments later, Mario also hits 0, leaving another carefully planned team completely eliminated, confirming ordinary taming methods cannot subdue this creature without one piece of hidden information, and with only Mu's two-person party plus Mob King remaining, spectators anticipate complete failure. But Susumu confidently rejects that possibility and finally steps alone inside the arena, smiling because after watching every rival collapse, his own turn has finally arrived, while the warhorse's blazing red eyes narrow menacingly toward its last solitary challenger, before it accelerates into another furious charge, trailing brilliant fire across the ground, and snorts burning air while closing the distance with enough force to crush him. Yet Susumu races forward too, knowing the source of its suffering hides within one ear, and vows to destroy whatever has been tormenting the beast, no matter what it is, horrifying onlookers who see nothing except a reckless head-on collision about to happen, with several spectators screaming that the lone fool is simply throwing his life away, until he smoothly slips beside the charging warhorse at the final possible instant, catches its reins with one hand, and uses the momentum to swing alongside, then lands firmly on the flaming back, promising the raging animal that he will save it, because a foreign creature buried inside its left ear is the real cause of this madness, and removing that hidden parasite will provide the key needed to challenge Pandora's secret. So Susumu reaches through the flames, his fingertips nearly closing around the wriggling target, while the warhorse bucks wildly and desperately tries to throw its unexpected rider, turning the struggle for control into a genuine contest between life and death. But Susumu tightens his grip on the reins and stubbornly refuses to fall, while summoning a specially prepared tool from his storage ring with his free hand, revealing a heated fire-bore oil plate created specifically for this dangerous extraction, which he carefully drives into the warhorse's ear toward the unsuspecting purple insect, impaling the parasite and spraying green fluid as the suffering mount screams beneath him, until the crimson pain blazing across its eye finally begins fading safely away, and the exhausted warhorse collapses safely, throwing Susumu onto the dirt beside it, though he quickly rises again with the defeated insect secured in his hand, then triumphantly asks which watching spectators were so certain he could never win, leaving the entire crowd stunned that a lone player truly controlled the impossible mount, before an unexpected system prompt suddenly announces that exclusive hidden information has appeared, identifying the defeated parasite as a purple hallucination bug and unlocking Purple Datura main quest intelligence, a one-person discovery he never obtained previously, proving his main quest now differs from everyone else's. And although the bug was already Pandora's key, this additional secret promises an even greater advantage, making Susumu firmly resolve that this altered second attempt will absolutely not fail. But before he can inspect the information, his final two competitors move behind him, the same pair who exploited his lowered guard and eliminated him in the previous timeline, as Priest Mu casts Curse of Sharpness, bathing Archer Rome in green enhancement magic, increasing Rome's damage 10% while reducing Susumu's defense equally for 3 minutes. Then the Archer draws his glowing bow, dismissing Mob King as only a level 5 warrior, and unleashes a storm of green projectiles, claiming a helpless swordsman cannot resist their combination, shocking spectators who realize Mu's team always planned to kill whoever successfully controlled the horse, because the system awards victory to the last surviving pair, making their treachery strategically deliberate. But unlike his previous defeat, Susumu expected this betrayal betrayal and calmly opens his storage ring, drawing the E+ iron sword as blue energy gathers around his outstretched hand, then catches the incoming attack with perfect grip, fully prepared for their ambush, since his current level remains modest, but his player control mastery stands far beyond their imagination. Activating Phase 1 Perfect Grip to increase every statistic 30% for 3 minutes, and with shocking superhuman strength, he splits Rome's glowing arrow cleanly in half, astonishing nearby viewers who have only witnessed that technique in official promotional videos, while blue lightning coils around Mob King's body and his newly drawn blade. Although this is merely Phase 1, compared with the world-class Phase 4 available beyond level 60, but it provides more than enough power for Susumu to clean up this remaining mess, as he promises to return Rome's attack with a sharp taste of steel, prompting the shaken archer to prepare volley fire art with 3 glowing arrows, while Mew desperately orders him to release the technique before their opponent closes in. But Rome's hands tremble uncontrollably, ruining his aim beneath Mob King's crushing pressure, and one enormous blue sword arc sweeps through the archer before he can fire, instantly reducing Rome's health to 0 and leaving his bow falling uselessly away, as Mu stares at his eliminated partner and trembles helplessly under Susumu's gaze, then desperately swings his staff, declaring himself Mob King's opponent despite obvious terror. Susumu dismisses the threat, knowing a low-level priest possesses virtually no close combat ability, then flashes past Mu and drives one decisive sword strike through his defenses, dropping the priest to 0 health so quickly that the stunned crowd barely registers it, and Forbes proclaims Mob King the winner, paying his triple odds reward of 150 copper, which Susumu calmly collects and stores as the arena finally falls quiet around him, before walking steadily across the emptied battleground toward the now calm flame warhorse awaiting nearby, gently checking whether the creature feels better and inviting it to come with him, earning the level 5 mount's recognition as master when it affectionately nuzzles his face. Then he rides toward Els, planning to accept Secret of Hadra after clearing the hidden subquest, while remembering the exclusive information should produce a unique main quest nobody else can receive. First comes Pandora's S-rank Darkness Sword, multiplying his combat power before rivals can react, because both that divine weapon and the hidden information bonus escaped him in his previous life. Back at her house, Els rewards his success with 60 affection, 30 copper, and 100 experience, raising her affection to 72, comfortably enough for Susumu to trigger Pandora's next step. So he deliberately reveals the purple hallucination bug taken from the warhorse's infected left ear, and Els immediately stiffens, recognizing something far more significant than an ordinary parasite, exactly matching the old forum clues, leaving only one memorized sentence needed to unlock the quest. Susumu explains the bug caused the rampage and requests permission to investigate the conspiracy further, repeating the precious trigger words he memorized after missing this opportunity during his first life. While Els fixes him with a hard, suspicious stare and silently weighs his request, Els cautiously confirms that he truly intends to continue investigating the dangerous mystery, then brightens and reveals she already possesses a useful lead for his next move. The system offers investigate the secret of Pandora's labyrinth, and Susumu accepts without hesitation, because this hidden mission leads directly to the S-rank Dark Element Divine Sword he desperately wants. Wearing a confident grin, he gladly confirms the decision and officially receives the labyrinth investigation. Els wishes him luck as he departs, concealing her true intentions behind a polite farewell. Once alone, she coldly decides anyone interfering with her sacred mission deserves death inside that labyrinth, and prepares to report the bug's discovery, believing her organization can soon seize Domo Village. Meanwhile, Susumu considers the labyrinth's distant location and refuses to waste time walking there. So he raises 2 fingers and whistles sharply for his newly acquired fiery mount, summoning the level 5E+ flaming warhorse in a spectacular eruption of swirling flames, then races through town at blistering speed while jealous newcomers gape at the magnificent ride. But real strength cannot be purchased here, since Nine Worlds provides no cash shop whatsoever. Instead, the revolutionary game behaves like another living world, rewarding knowledge, skill, and courage. He reaches Domo Village's eastern gate, beyond which stretches the dangerous open-world free area. Every settlement borders both general hunting grounds and unrestricted zones like Pandora's Labyrinth. General areas let adventurers level against monsters while completely preventing attacks between players. Free areas unleash deadlier monsters and permit merciless combat, turning travelers into prey for rivals. Their danger dwarfs ordinary fields, but their valuable rewards rise just as dramatically, because victorious killers can plunder defeated players' resources, making every encounter potentially profitable. Powerful free area monsters also grant superior experience and equipment, accelerating fearless adventurers beyond safer competitors. At the gate, armed guards block his path, warning that forcing entry will almost certainly trigger combat. Nearby rookies laugh because ordinary players cannot leave Domo before reaching level 10 unless spawned outside. They mock his low level and suspiciously wonder how such a beginner acquired that magnificent horse. Susumu echoes their claim with apparent surprise. Already preparing a reborn player's secret solution, he produces a money pouch, confident that knowledge from his previous life can bypass this obstacle, then politely offers the guard's payment in exchange for immediate passage through the eastern gate. Spectators expect violence when the soldier recognizes the obvious bribe and angrily challenges his audacity. But 100 copper instantly transforms both guards' outrage into eager obedience and deference. They open the gate immediately, and he charges through smiling while the stunned mockers swallow their insults. Nine Worlds follows real-world rules, explaining why Susumu once gambled his entire fortune on such knowledge. The baffled crowd realizes wealth, levels, and a rare mount place this mysterious newcomer far ahead. Inside the shadowed forest, he reflects that bribing the guards was vastly easier than fighting through. Yet now he remains alert because free area killers routinely hunt newcomers and pillage their belongings. Rather than fearing them, the seasoned regressor eagerly wonders which unlucky predator will attack first. Hidden among the trees, two murderous players spot the flaming mount approaching along the forest road. Poison Slayer, level 6 with 3 kills, and level 4 Chainman identify the rider as easy prey. Their red names reveal accumulated murders and heavy defeat penalties, but they celebrate hunting for resources and experience. The pair springs from hiding, convinced their trap has caught another helpless victim worth finishing. Instead, he calmly dismounts beside the halted warhorse, draws his sword, and faces the encircling attackers. Susumu reveals that a little stage neighing lured the red-name trash into exposing themselves, then promises to wipe them out, his icy smile replacing every trace of feigned helplessness. The killers scoff at his confidence, insisting their higher levels and numerical advantage guarantee victory, unbothered. He rests the sword across his shoulder and invites them to prove their claim. He sends the flaming warhorse aside, promising they can run freely after this brief cleanup, then spins his heavy blade with effortless control, eagerly preparing to meet both attackers alone. Poison Slayer bears his knife and promises their combined strength will crush the overconfident beginner. Confident, the thief class dominates player combat through lethal speed and unpredictable angles, so the two split apart and charge simultaneously, attempting to overwhelm him from opposite sides. Chainman launches E-rank Swift Thrust, one of every thief's earliest and most versatile techniques. But Susumu coats his weapon in A-rank Zilla's Flame, making these predators laughably outmatched. Poison Slayer recoils at the impossible fire skill, knowing no ordinary warrior should possess it, while Chainman commits to Swift Thrust and rockets forward behind a green charged dagger. His masked partner hangs back, intending to measure the target before risking his own attack. The level 3 technique doubles movement speed and delivers a piercing strike no normal warrior could evade. Yet the blazing sword intercepts the dagger perfectly, proving raw speed cannot overcome superior timing. Chainman freezes in disbelief when his supposedly unavoidable thrust stops dead against that defense. Susumu seizes the attacker's wrist, explaining warriors may be slower but possess overwhelming strength. He dismisses the shallow stab as harmless and wrenches the trapped thief violently off balance, then unleashes a blazing upward slash, declaring that crushing prey this week requires almost no effort. The flaming blade tears through Chainman's body before the thief can recover from his failed thrust. The system declares him defeated by Justice Player Mob King and awards 10 fame. Susumu flicks away the blood and orders the remaining killer to stop hesitating and attack, smirking as he asks whether Poison Slayer is somehow weaker than his eliminated underling. Enraged by the insult, the masked thief curses and abandons his cautious strategy, charging straight for the neck, certain a critical strike will instantly kill the lower-level target. His swift thrust erupts at extreme speed, reducing his body to a nearly invisible blur. But Susumu activates Perfect Grip, gaining 30% across every attribute for 3 minutes, and effortlessly redirects the green dagger as its edge streaks past his neck, leaving Poison Slayer convinced he landed the attack until Susumu appears behind him untouched. The killer glimpses a murderous red glow, and realizes too late that his target countered. Before the flame-coated sword punches through his torso and violently launches him forward, staggering upright, he insists dodging that supposedly unavoidable strike should have been impossible, but the victor explains he never dodged, merely boosted his speed and shifted slightly aside, because an attack that never connects cannot trigger its promised critical damage, regardless of aim. The system confirms Poison Slayer's defeat and adds 30 fame, raising Mob King's total to 40. Reaching 40 unlocks the E-rank Guardian title, granting 8% to every attribute when equipped. Susumu appreciates the massive reward, recognizing titles as the true advantage of defeating murderous players. He immediately hides Guardian from view and collects every item scattered by the fallen thieves, since red-named players drop everything they carry upon death, turning justice into excellent profit. Among the dropped belongings, a folded map catches Susumu's attention and interrupts his hasty departure. He drinks a recovery potion while examining the familiar mysterious map, whose coordinates require a detection scroll, recognizing it as a treasure map. He stores the valuable discovery with an approving smile, yet refuses any detour before Pandora's Labyrinth and immediately summons his flame warhorse again. The fiery mount materializes at full speed, allowing its master to leap smoothly into the saddle. He discards the empty potion bottle because his 5-slot inventory has no room to waste, keeping his sword, flame fang gear, treasure map, and 2 sellable E-rank daggers packed inside, then urges the warhorse onward, daring Pandora's labyrinth to await his imminent arrival. At last, a weathered stone entrance appears, guarded by a silent armored warrior clutching a massive sword. Susumu rides into the clearing and instantly recognizes the destination beyond the waiting sentinel. Knowing S-rank divine swords are almost non-existent throughout 9 worlds, he approaches with burning anticipation because he never possessed one previously, and merely imagining this prize sends chills through him. Before entering, however, he knows the motionless guardian blocking the doorway must be cleared. The decayed knight's visor ignites crimson as the newcomer steps within challenging distance. Then Wishwan rises and asks whether this traveler truly seeks entry into Pandora's labyrinth. Susumu confirms without hesitation and calmly asks what trial the ancient sentinel requires. The level 8 decayed warrior raises his enormous blade and demands victory in single combat. Although weathered and slow-looking, Wishwan was once Domo Village's greatest warrior, making carelessness fatal. His legendary strength slaughtered 300 invaders alone, leaving a mountain of corpses beneath him. 50 years earlier, the former village chief commanded that champion to guard the labyrinth entrance. Wishwan has guarded this threshold without moving for 50 years, his decayed body sustained entirely by willpower. Susumu respects such impossible loyalty, yet recognizes the ancient warrior's continued existence as terrible suffering. He summons his iron sword and decides the time has finally come to release Wishuan, closing one hand firmly around the hilt as pixelated light hardens into steel, then salutes the noble knight and vows to end the torment imprisoning his spirit. Wishuan senses the challenger's impressive aura, but refuses to surrender his sacred duty peacefully. He suddenly lunges from the steps, declaring only defeat can earn his acknowledgement and passage. Their blades crash together with explosive force as Susumu catches the giant descending strike, and the challenger grins through the sparks, thrilled to test himself against a genuine legend. Wishuan unleashes a relentless sequence of sweeping cuts, forcing rapid blocks from every angle, even inside a ruined body. The old powerhouse displays extraordinary swordsmanship worthy of his history. Susumu answers by flooding his blade with roaring blue and violet fire energy, then drives weaving flames straight into the knight's guard, detonating their weapons in brilliant light. The violent collision hurls Wishuan backward, but he lands upright and immediately prepares another charge. Susumu steadies his blazing sword while the guardian repeatedly calls their exchange fascinating. Wishuan names him a worthy opponent and finally offers the full respect reserved for equals, then resets his grip, gathering every remnant of strength into the battered two-handed sword, and announces he will fight all out as pale currents begin circling his armored body. Recognizing the stance, Susumu anticipates the legendary technique that once terrified forum players, a divine sword skill capable of shredding entire groups with countless intersecting blades. The classless divine art is Soul Ignition. Peerless Slash, growing stronger with its wielder's conviction, Wishuan tightens both gauntlets around his hilt while spiraling currents condense around the blade, then invokes Soul Ignition, feeding 50 years of unbroken duty into one decisive attack. A colossal crescent of pale energy erupts from his swing and rips across the clearing, but Susumu plants his flaming sword against the wave, determined to test its legendary power directly, grinning as the dreaded technique bears down with enough force to terrorize countless former players. The impact drives him backward beneath deafening pressure, yet his blazing weapon refuses to break, and after the violent storm passes, he remains standing with torn clothing and smoking cuts. He briefly believes the assault has ended, only to sense the surrounding currents halt unnaturally, then countless residual slashes erupt around him, tearing fresh wounds across his guarded body, even bloodied. Susumu recognizes the attack's delayed edge as the legendary Peerless Slash, and smiles through the pain, exhilarated that Wishuan finally revealed the complete technique. The Guardian lowers his exhausted sword, apparently convinced the challenger cannot continue fighting. But Susumu considers this overwhelming display the only defeat worthy of such a legendary warrior. Wishuan orders him to retreat, declaring the hero spared and warning madness cannot create strength. Susumu refuses, insisting he is not lost because challenging powerhouses defines his warrior's path. The knight replies that another round changes nothing, since every move has already been understood. Instead of wavering, the battered challenger answers with a confident and dangerous smile, then releases his concealed true class, Apex Swordsman, surrounding himself with towering digital light. Swords Beloved activates and magnifies the refined Iron Sword's attributes by 200%. Wishuan feels the swordsman's aura climbing again, and his extinguished fighting spirit suddenly blazes back to life. With delighted laughter, he welcomes the true final battle as Susumu rockets forward behind his empowered blade. The challenger laughs back and promises the senior warrior that his word will never be broken, his battle intent surging as he swings downward, vowing to free Wishuan from endless guardianship. The knight marvels at that burning resolve while meeting the enhanced blade with renewed strength, because the young man's ferocity reminds him vividly of his own fearless youth, and forgotten hot-blooded passion races uncontrollably through every remnant of his decayed body, returning memories of battles where he stood bloodied against stronger enemies without surrendering. As their weapons collide, Wishuan rediscovers what being a warrior truly means to him, The Guardian's eyes shine blue, acknowledging a fighter who fears neither life nor death, and Susumu launches another enormous flaming strike, forcing Wishuan to defend with everything remaining. Their collision erupts into a circular shockwave that blasts dust and leaves across the clearing. Wishuan answers with a sharp armored kick, creating space without loosening his two-handed grip, but the empowered swordsman twists through the opening and immediately drives forward again, then activates Perfect Grip and demands Peerless Slash once more to decide their battle properly. Wishuan welcomes that challenge, revealing the same final attack was already his intention. Both warriors gather their remaining force, eyes locked across the violently churning energy, and Susumu surges forward laughing, declaring this decisive clash will choose the victor. Wishuan releases Soul Ignition, Peerless Slash again, producing a colossal cyan arc at point-blank range, while the blazing iron sword crashes straight into it, compressing both powers into a blinding explosion. The opposing arcs collide and erupt into a towering blast that swallows both warriors completely. When the smoke finally thins, Wishuan's battered silhouette remains motionless amid the devastation, while Susumu stands at 8% health, humbly accepting victory after surviving their ultimate exchange. The dying Guardian softly thanks his worthy opponent for granting the battle he desperately needed, and calls this radiant defeat a proper funeral as his decayed armor begins dissolving. Susumu returns the thanks, saluting a farewell perfectly fitting for a true warrior. The vanished Xie Wushuang grants 100 favorability, unexpectedly triggering an extra opportunity, which surprises the exhausted victor because this reward never appeared during his previous life. The system offers a scroll teaching Soul Ignition, Peerless Slash, despite its unknown rarity, and Susumu stares in genuine shock at receiving the legendary technique for himself. Learning the unique skill permanently removes it from acquisition, linking its sword aura directly to willpower. After drinking a healing potion, he marvels that even his strongest former self never learned it. Wishuan's defeat grants immense experience, raising Mob King to level 6 with 24.5% progress, and he solemnly promises that the senior warrior's Peerless will now live through him. Then he conceals Apex Swordsman again, restoring the harmless public display of a standard warrior. Crossing the doors starts explore Pandora's Labyrinth, requiring traversal of outer and middle layers to reach the core. Expecting immediate combat, he equips the newly acquired Flame Fang bracers before advancing. The E-rank gear adds 15 defense, 15 magic resistance, 3% fire resistance, and full durability. A snarling pack of red-eyed goblins blocks the outer corridor, brandishing crude blades and clubs. One creature raises a hand wreathed in violet energy as the entire horde charges. Susumu welcomes the eager magical beasts by raising Weaving Flame and matching their murderous enthusiasm, then releases intersecting blue slashes that tear through the charging goblins and shower him with experience. More monsters fall beneath the blazing barrage, yielding over an entire level's worth of experience. With the outer layer cleared, he leaves the piled corpses and advances toward the middle labyrinth. Unlike ordinary monsters, this mental maze broke countless challengers, but his future knowledge makes cheating effortless. Every crucial instruction was recorded clearly on old forums, allowing him to walk without hesitation. He carefully follows the remembered sequence exactly, advancing 4 steps before retreating 1, repeating that simple pattern until the notorious middle labyrinth quietly yields before him. The system opens the core area, where a purple flower field surrounds Pandora's distant throne. The reclining blonde witch rises in surprise that anyone actually reached her hidden sanctuary. Identified as Witch Pandora, the level-unknown master of the labyrinth appears beautiful but dangerously calculating. Susumu immediately levels his sword, challenging the decayed witch beneath her charming exterior. Pandora rises gracefully and reproaches the handsome youth for treating a beautiful lady so rudely, but he answers she was beautiful 50 years ago and has since become evil and hideous, because Xie Wushuang's true mission 5 decades earlier was never simply guarding the labyrinth. His duty was imprisoning Pandora here after Domo's former mayor banished the dangerous mage. The witch erupts with terrifying violet magic, revealing herself as the source of Domo's evil. Black-purple tendrils coil around her body while a low, sinister laugh escapes from her lips, impressed that a warrior reached the core. Pandora prepares to abandon her seductive disguise. Transforming into a 3-eyed demon, she praises his insight and asks what reward he desires. Pandora promises only death and despair while the ornate cube embedded in her chest glows, laughing wildly. She draws a towering black-purple blade from the erupting demonic energy. The system announces level 10 unique boss Pandora wielding the demonic sword, ordering her death. Susumu instantly recognizes the enormous weapon as the treasure he came to obtain. Declaring it his first S-rank divine sword, he dives straight toward its monstrous owner. Pandora swings the coveted blade and scorns the puny human daring to claim it. Their weapons collide explosively, and the witch questions whether her challenger is even worthy. Blasted backward through shattered stone, he admits the level 10 boss possesses fearsome force. Her overwhelming physical strength even sends a violent shudder through his battle-hardened body. Yet Pandora notices no trace of fear appearing anywhere upon his determined face. Infuriated, she charges behind another sweeping strike, promising to plunge him into genuine terror. Violet crescents rain downward as she demands he witness the immense gap between them. Blue defenses spin desperately around him while her relentless blade arcs tear through every opening. Unable to gain close-range leverage, he realizes her elongated limbs and sword control the distance. Pandora spots an opening and launches a brutal kick that sends him flying across the flowers. The impact tears his sword from his grip, leaving him suddenly exposed and wide-eyed. Her following slash carves away 58% health, reducing him to just 16%. Another ranged strike lands immediately afterward, dropping his remaining health to 8%. His battered body crashes against broken stone as debris erupts across the flower-covered arena. Confidently holding the demonic sword, Pandora declares the rude and greedy boy finished. Still kneeling amid rubble, he challenges her declaration and reaches for the discarded scabbard, wearing a bloodied grin. He agrees everything ends only after his own final strike. Pandora howls with laughter, mocking his plan to attack using nothing but an empty scabbard. Perfect Grip activates as blue power gathers, recreating the sword technique that suppressed her 50 years earlier. Recognizing the deadly stance, Pandora's confidence instantly collapses into shocked and desperate alarm. She launches herself forward at maximum speed, determined to slaughter him before completion, but his calm smile tells the charging witch that her desperate reaction came too late. Soul ignition. Peerless slash erupts upward as a colossal blue-white pillar of sword intent. The overwhelming current catches Pandora inside, shredding her form with intersecting blue and violet arcs. Every regret from his past life fuels one fate-defying strike in his reclaimed life. Twin luminous cuts cross Pandora's torso, tearing a horrified scream from the doomed witch. The system evaluates Peerless Slash at S-rank power as he completes the decisive motion. His indomitable soul and absolute hatred produce a blow officially judged capable of overturning fate. Pandora disintegrates into scattered digital fragments while the liberated demonic sword tumbles toward the flowers. The coveted weapon strikes the ground as his final attack consumes every remaining trace of health. Although barely standing afterward, he smiles because the desperate sacrifice produced truly enormous power. Pandora's defeat opens the maze exit and awards an immense amount of experience. The reward raises Mob King directly to level 9 while the fallen sword waits nearby, utterly exhausted from the battle. He knows remaining inside this chamber risks unnecessary death. Poisonous purple datura blankets the core, but the demonic sword is exactly what he wanted. Gripping the hilt, he celebrates obtaining the beginner region's only S-rank divine sword. Susumu lifts the magnificent dark blade and savors, finally claiming his long-awaited prize. Its statusless S-rank rarity, dark alignment, 33% scaling power, and 50% bonus dark damage. Although another effect remains locked, the weapon contains immense ultimate power nobody has fully awakened. Even a casual test swing confirms the exceptional might expected from an S-rank divine sword. Unlocking every ability could make it rival the Great Sun Flame sword from his past. Carrying Pandora's weapon, he approaches the glowing violet portal leading outside the poisonous core. King's arsenal can hold 9 divine swords, granting 50% all-stat growth for every stored blade. Its spacious vault offers the perfect solution because his Flame Fang ring is nearly full. He extends one hand toward the weapon and confidently commands King's arsenal to activate. When nothing responds, his triumphant expression suddenly collapses into confused and embarrassed disbelief. He sharply gestures again, attempting to force the silent hidden skill into operation. Instead, brilliant golden energy suddenly races across his hand, face, and battered body. Watching the unfamiliar light intensify, he wonders whether this could be the skill's hidden effect. Golden armor and fiery ribbons materialize around him as the special effect fully awakens. The dramatic transformation leaves him staring in astonishment at his own radiant appearance. Then violet energy lifts the demonic sword from the floor, despite his untouched hand. The levitating blade enters a vast digital space filled with streaming, multicolored fragments. Realizing the weapon is finally being absorbed, he watches the vault complete its process. King's arsenal confirms storage of the nameable S-rank dark demonic sword as its first treasure. The first stored blade activates a massive buff, lifting his combat power to rank 15. This enhancement will keep scaling upward whenever his underlying strength and level increase. Because every improvement to his base statistics also multiplies the 50% sword bonus, 8 empty vault slots promise 8 additional enhancements, making his future potential almost absurd. A red warning interrupts his excitement, announcing that 12 continuous gaming hours have passed. Further experience is disabled until he logs out and remains offline for 12 hours. Susumu accepts the restriction as fair protection against addiction and runaway level advantages. Noticing it is already 8 o'clock, he logs out before school to avoid worrying his mother. During disconnection, the system unexpectedly states King's arsenal's enhancement will transfer into his physical body. The startling message catches his eye just before the digital world dissolves around him. Awakening inside his bedroom pod, he realizes the stored sword reshaped his real body. Staring at his strengthened hands, he can hardly believe the system's promise actually worked. Eager to test the change immediately, he decides to perform 100 push-ups. His body launches through the exercise with astonishing speed and power from the first repetition. Even repeated push-ups feel completely effortless, confirming the improvement is physical and permanent. Previously only combat memory crossed backward, but Nine Worlds' ultimate awakening now strengthens reality. He forces himself to calm down before excitement overwhelms his newly empowered judgment. Rebuilding his family requires patience, so he refuses to become recklessly carried away. Nevertheless, the immense power overflowing through his body makes restrained confidence nearly impossible. Susumu vows to restore the Hoda family completely completely and reclaim its former glory. Entering the sunlit dining room, he finds hot breakfast and a handwritten note from his mother. Grateful for her quiet care, he thanks her aloud before settling down to eat. He quickly finishes the steaming noodles, restoring his energy after the long virtual session. Dressed in his blue school uniform, he leaves the family's modest apartment building. Brilliant morning sunlight greets him outside as he confidently begins walking directly toward school. Inside the classroom, a vandalized desk lies covered with spilled food, clothing, and broken stationery. Nearby classmates watch nervously and whisper when Susumu approaches the conspicuously ruined place. His calm expression hardens as he understands the destruction carries a deliberate warning. Although Saburo is currently missing, the familiar intimidation makes his direct involvement immediately obvious. Then Lin Cheng's name appears on an incoming call, prompting Susumu to answer. A hostile voice orders him onto the rooftop immediately without offering any explanation. The caller threatens to tear apart his helpless friend unless he obeys quickly. Anger sharpens his gaze, yet he coldly challenges the kidnappers to attempt their threat. Lin Cheng is his only classroom friend. Admittedly timid and slow but unwaveringly loyal, already bruised on the rooftop, Cheng desperately warns him not to approach the waiting gang. The surrounding bullies kick Cheng down, ordering him to report everything before running away. Stripped of his glasses, the loyal student curls against the concrete and trembles painfully. One thug tightens both hands around a metal pipe, preparing another punishment for that loyalty. He raises the weapon overhead, promising to vent his frustration on Cheng instead. Another furious bully snarls that friendship makes the helpless hostage an entirely fair target. Before the pipe descends, Susumu crosses the rooftop instantly and launches its wielder skyward. He lowers his leg with effortless control while the stunned attacker crashes far behind him. Cheng looks up in tearful relief and calls desperately toward his arriving friend. Standing protectively before the wounded hostage, Susumu silently challenges every remaining bully surrounding them. The first attacker sits clutching his injuries, already crippled by that single casual kick. Another gang member threatens that Brother Yao will never forgive this humiliating resistance. Recognizing Yao Ryuzaki's name, Susumu promises to visit him after defeating every subordinate present. 6 armed students advance together, telling him not to take their brutal treatment personally. Completely unimpressed by their numbers, he calmly asks how many lackeys actually came, then dismisses the entire gathering as pathetic obedient dogs serving Yao Ryuzaki's family. Outrage spreads across the gang as his contempt strikes harder than any opening blow. He condemns them for overwhelming weaker victims and pretending sheer numbers represent strength, no matter how large their pack becomes. He concludes that trash remains worthless trash. Enraged by the insult, the gang points toward him and surges into an attack. 2 fighters rush first with raised fists, each promising to silence his arrogant mouth. Cheng replaces his glasses and urgently warns that these opponents possess genuine fighting experience. One thug leaps into a powerful airborne punch, confident his practiced technique ensures victory. But Susumu sidesteps the charging assault so smoothly that the attacker passes harmlessly beside him. Another fist approaches, yet his transferred speed lets him seize its owner's collar first. One fluid counter drives the aggressor downward, smashing him headfirst against the unforgiving rooftop. Unlike before, his retained combat instincts now operate through a genuinely enhanced physical body. Combining both advantages, he flips between attackers and dismisses their supposed strength as meaningless. The remaining gang members converge from every direction, believing simultaneous pressure will overwhelm him. A single sweeping kick catches 2 rushing opponents and violently hurls them sideways together. Both bodies tumble across the concrete, colliding painfully before either can recover his balance. Susumu finds the 50% physical increase far more devastating in reality than he expected. One opportunist grabs him from behind and celebrates securing what appears to be restraint, while that student holds tight. 2 others approach with metal pipes raised for execution, completely relaxed within the hold. He mockingly asks whether they truly consider him captured. He calmly breaks the grip and twists the startled captor into his own counterattack. A sharp backward strike brutally crushes the restrainer's face before anyone nearby can react. 2 desperate pipe wielders swing down together while another fallen thug clings around his leg. Both metal weapons crash directly against his head, apparently landing a perfect simultaneous blow. Yet he catches and holds the pipes, asking whether their combined strength is truly finished. His immediate retaliation blasts both attackers backward, sending their weapons spinning harmlessly away. The final pair slams painfully against the rooftop among their already defeated companions. One conscious thug stares around in horror, wondering when their former victim became overwhelmingly powerful. Susumu grabs the battered student by his jacket and drags him upright for questioning. With chilling calm, he demands the current location of the gang's owner. Yao, the terrified subordinate, sweats uncontrollably, realizing continued silence may bring even worse punishment. Inside the school gymnasium, several thugs order a frightened girl to become Brother Yao's girlfriend. Smoking beside her, they promise minimal abuse only if she obeys every degrading command. The cornered student curls against the bleachers, while 4 boys surround her threateningly. Suddenly, a dark figure bursts through the gym entrance while dragging a defeated gang member. Muscular Yao turns from lighting his cigarette, immediately sensing an unexpected challenge has arrived. Susumu condemns the Ryuzaki family for needing an entire group to terrorize one girl, then tosses Yao's battered subordinate across the floor and announces announces the return of his dogs. Furious gang members curse the intruder while their imposing leader watches him without flinching. Two students charge first, determined to silence the supposedly washed-up loser for insulting them. One sharp kick intercepts the nearer thug and launches him backward through the gymnasium. The follow-through catches a second attacker, hurling him away before he can strike. Susumu pivots through several more bodies, scattering Yao's disposable followers with effortless precision. When Yao finally punches, a raised leg meets the heavy fist and stops it cleanly. This branch family enforcer was assigned to watch Susumu closely throughout his previous life. Unlike ordinary school bullies, Yao possesses genuine strength from extensive specialized martial arts training. He follows with another disciplined punch, attempting to break through the younger student's guard, but Susumu slips past the rushing fist with calm timing and economical movement. Until the day of his death, he could never escape Yao's suffocating surveillance. Every Hoda family member was similarly monitored while the Ryuzakas systematically crushed their resistance. That relentless control destroyed every opportunity for the fallen clan to rise again. This life is different, and Susumu effortlessly ducks beneath Yao's committed sweeping punch. The trained enforcer grimaces in disbelief that his supposedly weak target actually evaded him. Seizing the extended arm, Susumu drives a crushing counter directly into Yao's jaw. Cold determination fills his eyes as the Hoda family's restoration becomes an immediate mission. Another explosive strike folds the larger opponent, beginning the reclamation of their stolen glory. He declares this punch the opening move in his counterattack against the entire Ryuzaki family. Accelerating across the gym, he closes on Yao before the enforcer can properly reset. Yao grabs his leg during the attack, but Susumu converts the hold into dominant positioning. Staring down at the shocked fighter beneath him, he calmly announces his own turn. Before another blow lands, school security enters with the student guidance director shouting for everyone to stop. Director Moki Takeshi immediately suspends Hoda for 3 days and orders him home. The rescued girl protests that he only fought because he was trying to help her. Moki silences her, blames her for being alone among boys, and dismisses her testimony, stunned by the blatant injustice. She realizes the administration refuses even basic protection. Susumu recognizes another deliberately targeted school punishment while Yao's group escapes every consequence. Wearing a deceptively pleasant smile, he calmly tells the furious director he understands. Since suspension is already guaranteed, he decides there is no reason to stop early. He drops onto Yao and resumes punching until his personal anger feels properly satisfied. Moki extends the suspension to 2 weeks and orders a supervisor to visit his home. Threatening to inform his mother changes nothing while Susumu keeps battering Yao's face. Apologizing silently to his mother, he delivers another blow to settle his past life grudge. Outside the dean's office, Moki adds standing punishment and confirms the humiliating home visit. Susumu accepts the penalty, but warns Yao will be beaten again whenever he bullies anyone. Such open defiance leaves the administrator momentarily speechless and uncertain how to respond. Recovering his anger, Moki points accusingly while other students begin gathering throughout the hallway. Their whispers recount the rescued girl's coercion, the vandalized desk, and Cheng's brutal beating. Multiple witnesses openly defend Susumu and accuse the guidance director of shamelessly taking sides. Moki starts sweating as the surrounding students reject his carefully controlled official narrative. He orders everyone away and threatens additional suspensions, only making the accusations louder. Students retreat through the stairwell while proclaiming that Moki openly protects violent delinquents. Trembling with rage, the exposed director turns back toward Susumu and demands an explanation. Susumu smiles because genuine justice has always resided naturally within ordinary people's hearts. He addresses Moki directly, fully aware the administrator's authority has already started collapsing. Moki admits the Ryuzaki family ordered surveillance and boasts he could arrange immediate expulsion. He ends the threat by telling the suspended student to wait for future retaliation. After the office door slams, Susumu remains calmly leaning against the empty corridor wall. The confession confirms Moki has also been purchased to serve the Ryuzaki family's interests. News of Yao's defeat should soon reach other scattered Hoda relatives and awaken their attention. Rebuilding the clan requires gathering every separated family member behind one determined purpose. Their shared experience of oppression should make them understand his call and rally together. Photos of the gym fight spread through student chat groups, celebrating Susumu's unexpected strength and courage. Excited messages praise the freshman who challenged Yao and defended helpless classmates without hesitation. Heavily bandaged Yao discovers an online headline announcing his humiliating defeat by a freshman, shaking with rage. He screams for the identity of whoever secretly photographed everything. He smashes nearby furniture and demands that the nervous homeroom teacher find the photographer, frightened by the violent outburst. Teacher Huang eagerly promises an immediate thorough investigation. Yao seizes his collar, rejects excuses, and places every consequence onto Susumu's head. The submissive teacher instantly agrees that Susumu alone deserves blame for the entire disaster. Learning a home visit is scheduled, Yao asks whether Huang will enter the Hoda residence. He orders the teacher to photograph its exact location while secretly visiting Susumu's mother. Yao possesses criminal connections beyond school and intends to use them for revenge. The dangerous plan begins moving forward while evening settles across the surrounding neighborhood. Pedestrians return home beneath the orange sky. Unaware violence may soon reach the modest apartment. Inside, Huang tells Susumu's mother her son attacked students and received a 2-week suspension. He additionally demands 3,000 yuan for supposed medical expenses and impatiently pressures payment. Distressed but compliant, she presents a thick stack of savings to protect her son. Bowing anxiously, she asks teacher Huang to speak favorably when discussing the incident. The corrupt teacher accepts the money with false reluctance and quickly pockets every bill. He offers no guarantee anyone will listen, leaving the worried mother standing helplessly behind. She also hands him a sealed package, politely asking that he handle everything carefully. Huang pockets the final offering and condescendingly praises her as an unusually sensible mother. He announces his departure with a satisfied grin while she bows and begins tidying behind him. Watching her remain bent toward the closed door, Susumu clenches one trembling fist in fury. His anger hardens into silent resolve as he considers the humiliation she endured for him. But his mother gently says she knows her son would never attack anyone without reason. Calmly folding her apron, she asks exactly whom he struck and waits for the truth. He names Yao Ryuzaki, explaining the destroyed desk and brutal attack against Lin Cheng. 3,000 yuan equals her monthly salary, making the consequences of his satisfying revenge painfully real. Assuming she must feel both furious and disappointed, he finally raises his troubled gaze. Instead, she turns from her chores wearing a warm and unexpectedly mischievous smile. The surprising expression leaves him wondering what reaction his mother could possibly be hiding. She gives an approving thumbs up, saying decisive action makes him exactly like his father. Assuring him she feels no anger whatsoever, she says only one question remains. With eager curiosity, she asks whether he struck the Ryuzaki boy hard enough. Susumu proudly says every face swelled badly, and she laughs that his father would celebrate. Her mention of him revives the painful thought of how different everything might have been. He quietly wonders how such a respected family ever descended into desperate poverty. His father was once acclaimed as the Hoda family's Kilin, commanding respect from every branch. Before a fatal accident ended that brilliant future and left only a mourning portrait, everyone expected him to lead the clan higher, leaving his widow and child amid shattered hopes. The still unexplained accident that killed his father also destroyed everything the once promising family possessed. Unable to solve that old mystery tonight, Susumu decides to vent his accumulated fury first. He tells his mother he must handle something outside, promising to return before dinner. Outside, Huang checks the resident's photograph and envelope, never suspecting someone has followed him. He assumes Yao will soon target the Hoda home and gleefully anticipates the mother's misfortune. Admiring the thick red envelope, the corrupt teacher congratulates himself on her profitable compliance. He mocks the impoverished Hodas while trudging through 2 filthy alleys toward his parked car. Disgusted by the neighborhood, he vows never to conduct another home visit in such poverty. A hooded figure silently closes the distance as Huang walks alone through the deserted passage. Startled by the stranger blocking his route, Huang demands an identity and nervously braces himself. The ominous pursuer offers no answer, leaving only one pale eye visible beneath the hood. Huang invokes the rule of law, desperately warning the attacker to reconsider approaching him. The cloaked figure instantly lunges, seizing him before his empty threat can offer protection, screaming that he will call police. Huang flails helplessly as the attacker closes in. One devastating blow smashes across his face, cracking his glasses and spraying blood through the alley. The corrupt teacher collapses beside scattered trash, battered unconscious while his assailant stands over him. With punishment delivered, the hooded avenger removes his cloak and prepares to leave unnoticed. Susumu reveals himself, declaring monsters like Huang deserve no protection from civilized rules. After reclaiming the stolen envelope, he notes the camera-free alley leaves no evidence behind. He hurries home for dinner while planning to re-enter 9 Worlds immediately afterward. After dinner, he anticipates Domo Village's main quest should finally begin during this session. With renewed focus, he dons the headset and connects his consciousness back into 9 Worlds. The system welcomes him as his avatar materializes upon familiar stone steps inside Domo Village, returning under the anonymous name Mob King. He immediately surveys the newly awakened interface. His past life memories warn that 9 Worlds' second day will introduce several major developments. Right on schedule, the global marketplace opens, adding another urgent opportunity to his plans. Domo's defense main quest also begins, directing participants to collect assignments from every shop instructor. Seeing both announcements unfold exactly as remembered confirms his future knowledge remains reliable. The marketplace can generate real wealth, since even B-rank equipment once sold for 30 million yen. For now, however, his inventory contains only 3 surplus weapons suitable for immediate sale. He lists 1 E+ iron sword and 2 E-rank crude daggers at ambitious opening prices. Broad demand from warriors, knights, thieves, archers, and tamers should attract plenty of buyers. Because E+ weapons remain scarce this early, he chooses auction listings with slightly inflated prices. The global marketplace supports ordinary fixed-price transactions alongside a separate competitive auction system. Auction participants continuously outbid one another, sometimes driving ordinary equipment toward spectacular values. With no official store, completed sales deposit real currency directly into each user's linked bank account. count, another notification reveals Domo Village's defense objective has already reached 60% completion. Progress remains safe for now, although reaching 0 would condemn the entire village to failure. While other participants handle defense preparations, he decides to exploit the mysterious treasure map. Its revealed coordinates, 945-276, promise a treasure encounter capable of increasing his combat power. The destination lies nearby, so he leaves immediately instead of wasting time inside the village. Summoning the Flame Warhorse, he races toward the revealed coordinates surrounded by streaming fire. Between auction profits and hidden treasure, he confidently expects to build a fortune quickly. The blazing mount reaches coordinates 945-776 across a barren wasteland beyond the forest. This ground lies outside beginner protection, forcing him to remain alert against deadly surprises. He intends to finish quickly and return before Domo Village's main defense requires intervention. Dismounting beside the marker, he activates the map and releases a brilliant golden surge. Treasure Encounter I begins, the first of 4 possibilities, requiring victory over an equal-rank boss. Other outcomes include a dangerous boss dungeon or a completely risk-free treasure chest. The rare 4th possibility instead summons a catastrophic world-class boss into the surrounding region. Such monsters overwhelm lone fighters and unleash disaster chains capable of devastating entire communities. A world-class enemy above level 30 could obliterate Domo Village and instantly fail its defense. Understanding the stakes, he braces himself to prevent that worst-case scenario at any cost. Fortunately, the encounter produces the unique 3-star sub-boss called the Demon Desert Lizard. Relieved to receive the standard first-type encounter, he prepares for a straightforward battle. The armored reptilian brute roars and charges, claws gouging trenches through the wasteland floor. He calmly dismounts before its rush, planting one foot as dark energy gathers nearby, opening King's arsenals. He summons Pandora's demonic sword directly into his waiting hand. Purple corruption coils around the blade as his fingers secure its ornate crimson hilt. He raises the divine weapon, releasing towering violet flames that dwarf the charging monster. Eager to measure his newest weapon, he decides to test the S-rank divine sword's sharpness. A single dark purple arc erupts upward, meeting the enormous lizard's descending armored body. He drives through the collision without hesitation, pouring the blade's corrupted force into one strike. The tremendous edge cleaves completely through the sub-boss, splitting its towering frame apart. The system confirms the level 9 Demon Desert Lizard's defeat before its fragments fully disappear. Massive experience raises him to level 10, though display-based statistics exclude equipment and skill bonuses. Curious about his true strength, he commands the interface to calculate every active enhancement. His adjusted power reaches 53, enough to defeat rank 17 enemies with all bonuses combined. The fallen sub-boss also leaves a fortunate D-rank equipment drop floating above the wasteland. Lizard skin boots grant 5 speed and 3 defense, precisely covering another weak equipment slot. Delighted by the timing, he equips the dark boots and admires their immediate fit. While mounting for the return journey, an unexpected hidden system message interrupts his departure. Opening its concealed information will raise the associated Domo Village main quest to S-rank danger. Tempted by the greater challenge and rewards, he confidently authorizes the hidden information. The unique 5-star mission orders him to face Pandora's true form alone during a second encounter. Thrilled by a perfectly suited challenge, he charges onward determined to confront Pandora again. Meanwhile, Domo Village's defense falls to 49% as the struggling defenders lose ground. Besieged participants desperately block endless monsters, experiencing every impact like pain from a real war. Level 6 Beast Tamer Mario discovers each defeated creature is immediately replaced by another attacker. Level 7 Knight Darth absorbs crushing blows until his hands grow numb behind the glowing shield. Level 7 Mage Room cannot understand why her fireball barely harms enemies with an obvious wood affinity. Before she can investigate, the Flame Warhorse crashes through the horde in a blazing descent. The exhausted defenders instantly recognize Mob King's return and shout that their strongest ally has arrived. Rider and Mount incinerate scattered tree demons, sweeping aside enemies that had stalled everyone else. The level 10 newcomer calls everyone forward, turning his charge into a rallying point for the defense. His flaming breakthrough launches several creatures skyward and opens a clean path through their formation. Level 6 Priest Mu and Level 8 Archer Rome agree he is terrifyingly dependable as an ally. His arrival reverses their retreat, lifting Domo Village's defense progress back to 50%. The renewed party surges behind him with buffs, arrows, spells, shields, and coordinated attacks. Mario realizes that one spectacular entrance restored the entire exhausted team's fighting spirit. Still mounted, Mob King carves through surrounding demons with sweeping violet arcs and blazing momentum. Yet these weak tree demons are merely obstacles along his route toward the main objective. Pandora commands the siege from elsewhere, and the hidden mission now reveals her location coordinates. He blasts through more weaklings without slowing, promising this distant boss that he is coming. Her base stands atop a mountain ahead, easily reachable with the Flame Warhorse's speed. A noisy pack of survivors pursues from behind, irritating him as the summit draws closer. Deciding to erase every pursuer together, he gathers blue energy around both cross blades. Flames and electric sword aura intensify around his poised body as the killing stroke begins. Peerless Slash detonates forward as a colossal blue wave, swallowing the entire pursuing formation. Successive notifications confirm numerous level 5, low-rank tree demons died within that single attack. These tree demons were summoned by Pandora's witchcraft, explaining their negligible individual value and experience. Each fallen minion grants only 1 experience point, making further slaughter a waste of time. Defeating the real boss would add 20% defense contribution, but 3 commanders guard Pandora. Those boss-class servants are the Demon Bamboo Warrior, Demon Tree Mage, and strongest Beastman Fighter. In his previous life, he missed this special quest and only witnessed the Bamboo Warrior's defeat. Now, the strongest subordinate guards the approach, and her presence immediately confirms his prediction. An oppressive, killing aura descends from above, warning him that the expected challenger has arrived. Level 10 Beastwoman Oksana appears. A 4-star fighter whose explosive flame fist dominates close combat, she praises his strategy of targeting the commander. While he calmly studies her elevated perch, raising his dark sword from horseback, he orders her aside unless she wants death. Oksana answers that exact warning belongs to her. Purple eyes narrowing with predatory confidence, she launches downward inside a spiraling red inferno, promising death for threatening her commander. Recognizing the incoming force, he orders the flame warhorse to retreat and leaps clear. Her blazing landing pulverizes the ground, blasting stone fragments through a deep crimson crater. Fighters trade health, magic, and defense for specialized power and agility exceeding ordinary thieves. Oksana channels Gila's flame into explosive flame fist. Intending to end everything instantly, he meets the flaming punch with a blue-violet sword surge. Refusing to yield any ground, their attacks collide in a violent multicolored detonation that consumes the battlefield between them. Inside the clash, he marvels that even Gila's flame dramatically strengthens her raw attack power. She is equally stunned that a mere human can resist her strongest strike with divine steel. Oksana multiplies her assault into Thousand Fist resonance, surrounding him with countless explosive strikes. He activates Perfect Grip for 30% higher attributes. Confidently accepting the contest of speed, their rapid barrage becomes a continuous storm, but repeated flame fists drain her stamina dangerously fast. With her reserves nearly exhausted, Oksana realizes maintaining this pace will inevitably cost her victory. He presses forward relentlessly, taunting that her slowing fists already trail behind his sword. One blue-charged counterslices through her defense and empties the commander's remaining health. Standing inside the fading electrical storm, he holds the victorious divine blade across his body. His calm declaration seals her defeat while the last arcs of energy disperse around them. Oksana screams as digital corruption consumes her wounded form and erases the defeated beast woman. Her death grants massive experience, 10% main quest contribution, and enough growth to reach level 11. He savors the thrilling fight and confirms each of Pandora's 3 commanders provides 10%. With the first commander gone, he pauses to choose the most profitable remaining route. Climbing directly toward Pandora would finish faster, but leave valuable contribution points unclaimed elsewhere. Although everyone else lacks her location, his past life memories reveal where all 3 commanders operate. Maximizing rewards means slaughtering the other 2 commanders before returning to eliminate Pandora herself. He remounts and selects the Demon Bamboo Warrior as his next 10% contribution target. Elsewhere, the masked Bamboo Warrior carves through defenders using rapid green windblade attacks. Commanding another monster wave, the general launches a concentrated assault toward Domo's western gate. Confident victory is near. He predicts the west gate will collapse within moments. Desperate defenders hold formation. Knowing failure would leave them permanently behind players in other towns, the defenders refuse surrender. Fearing even one lost stage will permanently cripple their future progress, defense briefly rises to 53%, but the Bamboo Warrior charges while mocking their resistance. He promises one blade will shatter the entire line, drawing concentrated green wind around himself. Rotting Bamboo Windblade Slash erupts across the battlefield as a gigantic emerald cutting wave. The devastating technique scatters numerous defenders at once, leaving the formation torn completely open. Survivors stagger among shattered earth. Finally understanding how brutally difficult this main quest has become, monsters flood through the gap created by their commander and sprint directly toward the village. The Purple Horde slams repeatedly against the western gate while resistance collapses behind them. Watching its structure buckle, horrified defenders realize the barrier will break within seconds. Progress crashes to 43% as the system warns Domo's western gate faces imminent breach. The barrier finally gives way, allowing snarling monsters to surge through the shattered entrance. With enemies pouring into the streets, defense plunges again to a dangerous 33%. Players stare in disbelief and shout that the western gate has been completely smashed open. Panic spreads through Domo as civilians flee the invading horde and desperately call for help. Within 9 worlds, monsters instinctively hate humanity and eagerly devour defenseless townspeople alive. 2 creatures corner a fallen lavender-haired girl just as a blazing figure streaks overhead. Trapped beneath their shadows, the terrified child tearfully begs anyone nearby to save her. Susumu answers, raising one hand as brilliant purple power gathers above the threatened street. He dives between the attackers and their victim, swinging his blue-violet blade downward with crushing force. The divine sword lands before her like a luminous wall, stopping the nearest monster cold, keeping his blade between them. He orders the rescued girl to run while he handles everything. Once she escapes, he surveys the overwhelming monster crowd filling every street ahead. Instead of retreating, he grins at the opportunity for an unrestricted killing spree in his previous life. Defending this western gate required a desperate, blood-soaked struggle just to survive. Now everything is different, and he raises the divine sword with absolute confidence. At level 11, his blazing blade tears through the horde as though peerless mode were active. Stunned witnesses recognize the Flame Warhorse's owner and marvel at his impossible level 11 statistics. Ordinary participants can only conclude he is somehow playing an entirely different game. While slaughtering invaders, he warns failure costs every local participant 5 levels and 10% growth. Shocked players check the quest details and realize his terrifying warning is completely accurate. The system confirms higher levels worsen this permanent attribute penalty, threatening Domo's entire player community. Dreams of awakening as superhumans ignite their courage, and the defenders charge back into battle. They embrace pain and repeated respawns, shouting that death is acceptable but defeat is not. Watching their renewed resistance, Susumu declares the monsters have underestimated every determined player's resolve. Standing amid dissolving corpses, he senses the bamboo commander silently observing from beyond the rubble. The masked general names him the strongest warrior present, and finally worthy of personal combat. Amused, he notes 9 worlds monsters possess intelligence, although this one's judgment remains painfully limited. The bamboo warrior lunges with his spear, but a violet sword flash intercepts the attack. Surprised by the counter's speed, the general loses sight of his opponent for one fatal instant. Susumu slips behind him and carves a swift diagonal wound across the commander's exposed back. The bamboo commander disintegrates, granting massive experience and another 10% of Domo contribution, secure at level 11. He dismisses the fallen general and sees his contribution reach 24.6%. Wasting no time, he summons his blazing warhorse and races toward the next target. A fierce grin spreads across his face as the final commander becomes his prey. His next opponent is Pandora's last general, the towering green-eyed demonic Treant Mage. The Treant Mage has already infiltrated Domo, surrounding the town with sinister purple magic. The flame warhorse erupts through Domo's streets at tremendous speed, scattering everything ahead. Reports confirm monsters are tearing apart Domo's defenses from within, sharpening his urgency. He must arrive before the traitorous priestess joins forces with the demonic Treant commander. Together, their combined magical power could completely annihilate Domo before its defenders can recover.